only ones that have the strength and fortitude and determination and willingness to come hang out with this crazy guy for another couple of hours. So that is awesome. How are you guys doing?
Good. I can't stay that long because I have to go to work. So,
I
but
know, I know. It's always great to see you, though, Helen. I appreciate you and making the sacrifice and taking the time to come out because you're going to get that book written. Yes?
I will get that book written.
Rock on. Well, people are coming in. It's 11 o'clock, and you guys know me. I like to respect people's time. So I just go ahead and get started. And you guys also know that I don't send out reminders for people. How many of you guys are just used to people blowing you up by your emails and getting all the notifications and stuff? I would love to do that from time to time. But also, I will say this, if there's something that I want to attend, I'm going to be there. Hello, guys, I'm talking. If there's something that I want to attend, you don't have to tell me twice. So I would encourage you guys, and I encourage people to do this. You know you. That's storytelling. You know you as a person, as a character. I know me as a person, as a character within the story that I'm living, as the protagonist in my own life. I know what I need to do in order for me to be where I need to be when I need to be there. So I might start doing that, but I can promise you I won't be blowing you up with a bunch of information and a bunch of notices and a bunch of, hey, it's just me reminding. No, big boys and girls, you guys want to be writers. And I'm saying you now have a one-stop shop to learn writing and filmmaking and all kinds of other things. You do not have to keep, I mean, I'm a lifelong learner, so I encourage people to continue to learn. But what I'm saying is that you can come to one place and get the information you need to be able to progress in whatever direction you want to go. That's what I can give you that assurance because what I do is I give people a foundation to build on. Okay. I give you the foundation. I strip away everything else because a lot of stuff is absolutely unnecessary at this point. You know what I mean? Not necessary at this point. Why? Because people get bogged down with an over excess of information. They get bogged down and they literally don't feel like they're making progress. And another thing with that, you notice I just start going off. One day I'm going to look at my notes, but you'll notice that the more information that comes in, especially when you're getting it from a lot of different sources, you're going to get conflicting information. And I don't mean that it's bad, that's right, that's wrong, but it can be that extreme as far as right and wrong, polar opposites. But people get so much information in their minds that they actually just like, you play that game Twister. Got to put your right hand here, got to put your left leg there, got to put this over there, got to put over there. And people are bending over each other and people just get stuck. They get stuck by an over excess of information. I love information, but what my goal is to give you a foundation to start building on so that you can go in whatever direction you want to go. But you have a foundation of excellence in whatever it is you're doing. So if you come to study graphic design with me and just the sessions that I teach, I don't care if somebody says, "Oh, I got an hour, teach me graphic design." I'm like, "Cool, I got you." "Oh, I got an hour, teach me photography." I'm like, "An hour? Shoot, if it takes me an hour, something's wrong with me or something's wrong with you." You know what I mean? I could teach you photography in an hour. One walk with me, you'll be taking better pictures than some of the professional people that I see taking pictures. I kid you not. I take the easy approach to everything. My grandson is 8 years old and he takes better pictures than I've seen at wedding photographers and their stuff. And I'm not even exaggerating. My 8-year-old grandson, come on, let's go for a walk. And guess what? He doesn't shoot on automatic. He shoots on manual because that's all you do with me. You're going to come here and you're going to say, okay, we're setting this thing to manual. We're going to take a walk for an hour and you're going to learn how to shoot. Now, all the little extras are things that take time, but the foundation of, for example, photography takes no time whatsoever. The foundation of it, ISO, aperture, and your shutter speed. Boom. Learn how to frame your shots. You're going to learn as you go. You can be given the information right away so that you have access to it. But the more you do it, the faster you will do it, the more experience, obviously, you're going to get. But I will just say this, a quick plug for photography and video. Those are things, especially photography, man, you can become an expert in like literally no time flat. You want to know why? It's because if you have a camera in your hand, you can take pictures of anything and everything. Go to a dark area, adjust your manual settings. Go to a light area, adjust your manual. Take a picture of a person, take a picture of a thing, take a close-up, take a wide shot, do all these things. But then once you learn the little things that look for, the leading lines, contrast, texture, the rule of thirds, once you just know that those things are things to consider in regards to your composition, those are things you can do like, oh, I need to learn how to do rule of thirds. Perfect. Every shot I take is going to be focused on rule of thirds, you see? And so anyway, let me go ahead and do this real quick. But anyway, I hope you guys get what I'm saying. I will teach you the foundational stuff. I'll teach you the basic stuff. In martial arts, I do go off on little tangents, but stop me, please. If you have questions about anything, we will get right into it, but stop me, please. In martial arts, I've been studying martial arts my entire life. I started studying with this instructor locally, and the first thing he says, okay, you're going to learn 14 wrist grabs in white belt. Okay, this is me starting at a new school and everything. Just because you're a black belt somewhere else doesn't mean you get to start at a black belt. You start with the new system, blah, blah, blah. 14 wrist grabs, self-defense wrist grabs in white belt. Why? Why? 14. Why? Do you realize if something were to happen, you're going to have to go through those 14 different things to figure out which one is going to best suit for you? You know what I mean? I understand why you would overall teach 14, but I would say to you, learn 2 or 3, master those, build on those. Those other little things, maybe they work better because someone's bigger than you or smaller than you or wider than you or narrower than you, don't have the same strength. The options are there, and there's an understanding of why you would do that, but there's not an understanding to me of why you would say, I got to learn 14 of those things as a white belt. To go from white belt to yellow belt makes no sense to me. I did it, of course, but in my system, we don't teach that. You're going to learn 3 or 4 things as a white belt. You're going to learn how to destroy somebody. If they mess with you, you're going to light them up, not go through 14 different wrist grabs. You're not going to do that because I only have a certain amount of time with you. I don't know if you're going to come back. There's people here that are new, and there's people here that didn't come back from the first session. So I want to give everything that I can give as if I will never see you again. That's sad. That's sad because reality, Helen, we've been together for, I don't know how long, but it's, how long has it been?
Before COVID. I think before COVID, I took your classes.
That's a long time ago, you guys. You see what I mean? And here's the thing. I'm still here. I'm still here. And this is not you sign up for something and you get a workbook, which I hope you guys got. You get a workbook and people just leave you alone, or they say, pay your money and do this. No, no, no. There's no VIPs in my group. There's no VIPs in my school. You're all VIP. You all get access to anything that I have to be able to present to help you to get to your goal. And you all have access to me. I mean, I may not have a lot of time, and that's why I do group classes, but I do be getting hit up by people and we spend our time one-on-one. Why? Because I care about you and I care about your success more than I care about achieving something so I can walk a red carpet or get an award. My goal, my heartbeat is for you guys to walk the red carpet and say, you know what? Somebody invested time, energy, effort into me. And what did I ask for in return? What am I asking? You know what I'm asking, guys? Just spread the word. I'm going to be doing this for the rest of my life, you guys, for the rest of my life. And so I'm saying, if I'm helping you, why not say, hey, you know what? There's this crazy guy out there saying he's trying to save the world and doing all this crazy stuff. And he's teaching these classes, not just giving tips and tricks and stuff like that. So I want to encourage you guys to help me get the word out because this is all I want to do. Now, I do a lot of other stuff, but this is what my focus on, building Legacy Street Academy, planning not just doing Zoom classes, which I'm getting a little used to, but I hate it. I would rather be teaching you guys face to face. And if there's a camera in the back of the room or somewhere, that's fine with me. but I hate cameras. It's torture for me. Torture every time I get on. So, and the reason, listen, the reason why I'm expressing that to you is because it's a part of my character. Just because you see me and it's like, this dude can talk. He's just flowing, not looking at no notes. He ain't pausing. He's not thinking about what he's saying. I don't do that. It just comes out. When I open my mouth, that's what's scary about being on camera. When I open my mouth, whatever comes out, comes out. You know what I mean? But the reality is, I'm not going anywhere. I'm teaching. I want to go save the world. This is my investment. This is my legacy. That's why this is called Legacy Street Academy. And this is why I literally go out there on the streets and say, hey, you want to learn how to use a camera? You want to learn how to do this? You want to learn how to do that? I don't care where somebody's at. I don't care who they are. I don't care who they love. I don't care what they believe. I don't care whatever. If I have something to give to you, look at me, I'm going off already. Look at what y'all did. See, this, if you guys cannot tell, this is my passion. You know what I mean? And I hope you guys pick up from that. And I'm going to walk you guys through this process. But again, I want you again to see this character. It's the reason why I share this stuff internally, what's going on the inside of me, because not everything, just like I said, you're learning from the moment I first began to speak, you're learning about storytelling, because not everything is as it appears. I appear very comfortable on camera, but I'm like, shoot me twice. I don't want to do this. I want to be in front of live people, like before COVID, live people. That's why I'm begging. I'm begging people out of desperation. I guess people don't like desperate people, but I'm like, please let me teach you. Please let me teach you. So I'm literally hitting up people here in Sacramento area where I live saying, let's meet together at the library. Let's meet together wherever. There's nice parks around. You want to learn photography? Let's get together, blah, blah, blah. We can fire up a camera. Other people can learn too. That's why I get to reach the world. But I'm like, I like working with people in person. If you guys were here in Sacramento, I'd be teaching you in person. And guess what? Not only would you be writing, we would be filming your stuff. That's the way it works. Why make it more difficult than what it is? Write a great story. This is all part of it. I'm teaching. I'm not just going off. You write a great story, it will get made. Why? Now, if it's a crazy, extreme, way out there budget, you have to go through the process, right? If you have a low budget or you shoot something that has few locations, few actors, this and that, not whatever, it doesn't diminish the quality of your story. Hello. You know what I mean? So if you have something like that and you're like, dang, we could shoot this. I'm like, yeah, we could shoot this. Go ahead and shoot it. But you have to know what excellence is and say, I'm not going to settle for anything less than excellence. Now, listen to this. I see, I'm just going off. I had a conversation just yesterday on social media. These are things I typically avoid, but sometimes I just want to come in and put in my 2 cents. So I did. Again, this is going back to storytelling because it is. But this is the reality of the easy approach. Somebody said, hey, can I make a movie? Can I make a movie on a cell phone and with lights from Lowe's, you know, the office supply, not the home supply store, Lowe's and Home Depot. He said, I got some lights from Lowe's and I got a cell phone and I don't have much of anything else. And people answered in a way that I thought they would and should. However, so they said, well, if you're wanting to get your stuff in the film festivals, and again, this goes back to your writing. If you want to get your stuff in the film festivals, you know, there's a certain standard they have in regards to quality, obviously with the story, as well as what you shoot and everything like that. So I get that. And I said, 100%, I agree with that. However, you do not need fancy and professional equipment to shoot like a professional. You don't. And if you believe that, you need to spend more time with me. Why? Because I've shot projects, and this is not just about me. It's what I do and it's what I've encouraged and taught other people do. It's not just about the equipment you use. It's about what you do with that piece of equipment. Same thing with storytelling. We can go through the whole process, but I will tell you this, where most people miss it is in their characters and in their characters development. And there is no better place to learn character development than I tell you what, right here. right here, because it all centers around you using yourself and using your life as an example of what a character is. Three-dimensional, whole, complete, right? And very, very real. That's what you are. Now, the question is, are your characters real? Are your characters three-dimensional in your stories? Do your characters have free will? Now, I might have thrown some people off yesterday when I said, you know what, you can't tell your characters what to do because writers go in, I'm the writer, I'm going to write this story, and this is what happens, this is what happens, this is what my character says, this is what my character does. Guess what? You did not tell your character to do that. At least you shouldn't. You can recommend, you can influence, and I will give you a perfect example. I believe God created you, but he can't make you do anything. If he says, thou shalt not, and I want that cookie, thou shalt, I'm getting that cookie. Come on now. You, listen, you do what you want to do, regardless of the influence that comes against you or whatever. You're going to do what you're going to do. You know, growing up as a kid, your parents, and this is going to character development. So hear what I'm saying. I've already just started going off. People that come in late, yes, they do miss something. Sometimes I record these sessions. I'm recording right now. Whether I release the sessions is a different story. You want to know why? It's because, and this is going to help you with your storytelling. When I'm here to teach story development, outlining, character development. That's what we're teaching in this particular session, how to outline a story. You don't have to outline. I don't care whether you outline or not. If it doesn't work for you, don't do it. Okay? The key thing that you need to pick up on, or I encourage you to pick up on in these sessions, are the elements that make up a great story. So that at least when you write your story, you could say, I got that in there, I got that in there, I got that in there, I got that in there. That's cool. All right, so you're off to the races. You know what I mean? So anyway, I do want to teach you to write like I write, because I have the confidence of knowing whatever I write, whatever I'm wanting to happen with that is going to happen with that. There's not even a question in my mind, and it's never entered my mind at all that I can ever remember of me saying, I'm writing this and I wonder if it's any good. Oh, please. Oh, please. Please. Really? You're wondering what you're putting effort and time and energy into? You're sinking your heart and soul, your blood, sweat, and tears, and you wonder if it's any good? Are you kidding me? If you cannot make up a story about nothing, you're doing it. Well, I'm not going to say you're doing it wrong. I'm just saying you haven't hung out with me long enough. If you cannot make up a story about anything, well, how can I just shoot something or write something and get it made like you're talking about getting made? Write something great. People will fall all over themselves to be a part of your project. As I said before, if it's a bigger budget project, you go through the process just like everybody else does of getting your work out there, obviously copyright it, getting your work out there, sending out your query letters, trying to hook up with production companies, making good connections and relationships that are mutually beneficial. You don't use people in this industry, you guys. Don't use me. I'm used to getting used. I am. And I have to accept that because I'm throwing myself out there to the world and saying, oh, you don't owe me anything. Just come to my classes. And I really, really do teach. I don't just give you a tip and a trick and then try to sell you on something for an hour and a half. That'll never happen. In any of the instructors with Legacy Street Academy, it'll never happen because my goal is to find these instructors, pay them so that they can teach you for free. I take care of them, they take care of you. That's my story. Listen, with everything that I'm doing. So here's the thing. That's this character, Trevor, doing this. You and exploring your life is the best thing you can do for character development. I'm just going to start with this right now since I already start going off on my little thing. Character development. Where people miss it. They have non-real, non-three-dimensional characters going through their story. What is a story? We already talked about that yesterday. A story is essentially anything. It's you communicating or someone communicating something to someone else for a reason or for a purpose to get a response or reaction from you. That's what a story is. Now, of course, we're talking about literature and writing stories, but if you take a nice picture and you show somebody, you're wanting to say, oh, that's cute. You got a response from me. They looked at your picture, they saw the story you were trying to tell by how you framed it, how you colored it. They got, and you're like, oh, that's so cute. I love that. You know, awesome. I told a story with that picture. You sing a song, just like the competitions we see with all the TV shows and stuff like that, where this person's against that person, it gets dwindled down, blah, blah, blah. And the judges say, oh, you told a beautiful story. Well, they weren't writing, they sang their story, or they did a dance and it was still a story. Going back to the cave paintings, as I mentioned, they still told a story, communicating information. So that's essentially what a story is someone's communicating something to someone else for a reason and for a purpose to get a response from them. You see? So how do you know if your story is successful? Well, you wrote it for a reason. Did you get the response that you wanted? Did you get the reaction that you wanted? If you didn't, you got to go back to the drawing board. You got to find out where the disconnect is. The reason why I say look at yourself as the greatest example of character development is because anybody can go through character development and they can type out, you know, hair color, eye color, occupation, who they live with, what kind of car they drive, where they work, their upbringing, their business life, their social life. They can type up all those things. You can type up all those things. Fantastic. You need to do it. Great. There's my spew on character development. There are little, you know, in my book, I have actually, and I will give you guys a copy of my book. You guys have the workbook, right? Some of you guys got the workbook. Did you guys start taking a peek at it yet?
Yep.
Avaskar, look at you, my guy, man. What's up?
Hey, hello, everyone.
What's up, man? It's so great to see you, brother.
Hey, how's up? How's everything up?
Everything is fantastic. Everything is fantastic, brother. It's so great to see. I want to become friends and family with you guys so I'm not so nervous. When I get nervous, I get very, very animated. I talk very, very fast. I mean, that's the way I'm wired. It's who I am. I decided to sit down this time because it's going to calm me down a little bit. You know what I mean? But so if you're not used to this, it can kind of overwhelm you. But check this out. I have the same people teaching the same information who are a little bit calmer. You see what I mean? So nobody can tell me I can't reach everybody. You hear what I'm saying? People tell me you can't reach everybody. I'm like, sucks to be you, because yes, I can. I could take the same information and give it to my brother Mark, who's going to be coming on in about 30 minutes. And he talks very slow. It's one of my best friends. He talks very slow. You know, nobody ever asked him to repeat himself because he's very clear and very thorough in the way that he communicates. So you're able to process it in real time. There he is right now. And I'm talking about you, Mark. So people are able to process what he says in real time, whereas people are hanging on the edge of their seat trying to figure out, okay, what did he just say? You know what I mean? You got something from it, but you're like, what did he say? Hey, can you say that part again? Yeah, you don't have to do that with Mark. So rock on. But character development, you getting to know yourself, the easy approach, experience, express, extract, embody, a survey of yourself. You got to get to know yourself. The reason why I push that so much is because when you get to know yourself, when you get to know the things that you experience and you can identify those things that have shaped your life, it's game over. Because then you know that your characters have to have these same moments. Why? Because you're real. Because you're real. Reality is the best thing that you can learn in terms of storytelling and character development, no matter how far out there your story is, no matter how creative, no matter how imaginative or just wild. It does not matter. It needs to come back to reality. Even if you're creating that reality within your story. Because here, if you look around, we know the rules and the laws in which this world that we live in operate, but maybe your story doesn't abide by those rules and laws. And that's perfectly fine. But you have to establish the rules and laws of your story world and abide by them. If people walk on air in your story, cool. You know what I mean? Or if they glide and don't move their feet, they just, whatever. If that's your story and that's the way your world works, abide by those rules and you're good to go. But here's the thing. Any kind of interactions, anything that happens, no matter how far-fetched, it goes back to something that you and I have experienced before, whether it's fear, whether it's heartbreak, whether it's anger, whether it's betrayal, whether it's anything, you know those very real things. So that when you're writing your stories, I hope you guys are getting something already. When you're writing your stories, you're able to tell, this moved me, this touched me. I can relate to this. And then when someone else reads it, they can relate to it. Why? Because it all comes down, no matter how imaginative, it all comes down to reality. I'll give you a great example. And this is my example, something that has shaped my life. Okay. A couple things. Oh, a few things. I'll give you a real quick one. A real quick one. I'm very, very picky. I like my stuff taken care of. I like my stuff neat. I like my stuff in order. And my life lesson came from my dad when I had to do the dishes, one of these. And it was younger. Say what you want. My parents were fantastic. I mean, they are. They're absolutely amazing. My parents are absolutely incredible. And I credit them for a lot of just allowing me to be me and flourish in so many different areas or whatever. But I learned some really, really cool lessons. And I'm sharing this with you because I want you to look back at the things that you learned that influence your life today that you experienced years ago, whether it's a kid or a teenager. But I remember as a young teenager doing the dishes and stuff. And obviously, my dad had a problem with the way that we did dishes. And it got to a boiling point where he came in, did the dishes, and he said, "This ain't clean." And he broke the cup. "This ain't clean." And he broke the cup. "This ain't clean." And he broke the cup. And I remember one when he did this, obviously, it was very, wow. And he broke his favorite cup. I'll never forget that. My dad wasn't anybody to physically do anything to us. The one time he whooped us, we were like, "We're calling the Child Abuse Society." He's like, "Here's the number." And that was the one time he whooped us. And it wasn't because it was so bad. We were just never used to our dad whooping us. My mom did the whooping, right? So, but I learned something from that particular experience, seeing my dad, this ain't clean. This ain't clean. The lesson was do it right the first time. If you got to do it and do it right, right? Okay. Oh, but here's a money one. This is the money one. Okay. When I was about 14 years old, 15 years old, going to my school, Concord, California, going into my high school, I went there. The bell hadn't rang yet, got into somebody's seat, and I was talking to a girl. And this dude comes into class. I know the kid. He comes into class. The bell hadn't even rang. Maybe the bell rang at just that time. And he said, literally, "Get out of my seat, you effing N-word." Okay. And what I did, I don't know, what would you do? I'm like, effing N-word, effing N-word. And I punched him in the face and I broke his nose in front of the class. Got called out of class, got in trouble with the teacher, got to the office, got in trouble at the office, obviously got suspended. We both got in trouble. And then when my mom comes down, she goes off on me. She goes off on me. Not in front of these people. She snatched me up and she went off on me. My Black mother went off on me. She said, "Are you an N-word?" I said, "No, mama." "Are you an N-word?" "No, mama." "Then why did you respond like an N-word? You just showed him how much of an N-word you are." That's my Black mother. My Black mother. She said, "You're not that, so why did you respond to that?" My Black mother went off on me for somebody calling me that. That made an impression on my life. Now, fast forward, anytime that gets said, I'm like, oh, all right. It phases me none. Whereas some, okay. Whereas some would say, oh, I would have hauled off and did what I did when I was 14, 15 years old. Now that's not even a thought in my head. Now it's not because I can't. I'm a 4th-degree black belt in martial arts. I will destroy you if I have to, or if I want to. But that's not in my character, because that's not me. You got the wrong person. You know what I mean? And so that was a life lesson that I learned that stuck with me throughout my life, and it's still a part of my life today. Does your character have experiences? Not exactly like that, but do they have experiences that shape them from when they were young beyond just the way that they were raised, what they look like? Oh, I look good, so I have this confidence. Oh, no, I look confident on camera, but on the inside, I'm doing everything that I can to get out from this camera. Please come see me live. Please come see me live. Why? Because I want to continue going in the direction I want to go, but I know this obstacle is this camera and telephones. There are very few people on this planet that I can comfortably talk to on the telephone. Right there, sitting right there, Mark is one of them. Very few people on this planet that I can sit on the phone with and talk to. Now, if we have, the reason why I'm sharing that, because now when people say, oh, Trevor, I know you don't want to talk on the phone, but can I call you? Can we talk about this? I'm like, no, it's not about that. It's not about that. Okay. The reason why I'm sharing with you is because it's my reality. Even the way that I'm presenting myself right now, very comfortable in front of the camera. I'm recording not only in this Zoom, I'm recording on my regular camera, because I'm hoping to start doing this regularly. And so if you guys can help me with that, I would love it. You guys would be, if you're getting something, you guys would be getting lessons live all the time. I don't want to wait for Zoom. I want to move over to TikTok so I could start doing live lessons and just start teaching people 24/7. I just want to fire up my camera, my little cell phone, whatever, and just start teaching. Why? Because I don't go out and people watch. You know what I mean? I would encourage you to do that because it helps with your storytelling. If you are at a setting where you have to, paint a picture of a coffee shop, cool. If you don't have it burned in your head of what a coffee shop looks like, cool. Go to a coffee shop, sit down for a while, look at the setting on all these different things. But I do that 24/7. I live that. The same thing that I do with martial arts. I live by what I call controlled paranoia. I think everybody's going to come walking up to me and want to punch me. I don't care if you're old. I don't care if you got a cane. If you can push me out in the street, I'm thinking, if I walk by you, are you going to push me out in the... Okay, I don't get carried away with it, but it's the way that I live my life. You know what I mean? I'm always thinking about things. I always got stuff going on. So I'm always thinking of story. Always thinking of story 24/7. I don't have to go people watch because everything that I do every single day is storytelling, because you're watching real life play out. Reality. Remember what I said, everything else, no matter how crazy, should come back to what you and I know, which is reality. Do you understand what I'm saying? Is this making sense?
Mm-hmm.
For real?
How many act structure do you have in a day, Trevor?
How many what?
How many act structure? If you had to, put your day in your life in a story, how many act structure it would be?
You know what? It would be a 3-act structure, a beginning, middle, and end.
Yeah, the pilot.
You know what I mean? Yeah. No matter how many acts you have in your story, as I said in the first session, no matter how many acts, no matter how you go about creating your story, whether you use plot structure, 3, 4, 5 act structure, sequence structure, it doesn't matter.
I know Dan has how
Oh
character
yeah,
is.
your character arc. Absolutely. You're going to have these. You're going to have these character arcs within your story, 100%. And what you shared in the very beginning of that Abascar is just 100% storytelling.
Yes.
Whatever happens in your life is going to impact you in a way that it won't necessarily impact somebody else. And that's the same that's going to happen for your characters and stuff. But yeah, throughout my day, like literally just being observant. And it's not that I have to consciously think about these things. I'm going to
And
go
like,
through my workbook because I don't have to for sure. I'm going to go through my workbook and we're going to look at the steps because I want you guys to make sure you have an understanding of these steps because that way you could just take that workbook, make sense out of it, and go about your merry way if you want to. And you have all the tools to tell a great story. You see, sometimes people shy away from easy. You shy away from easy. Why? Because it's supposed to be hard? No. People think I oversimplified. No, you overcomplicate. What is a story? A story is about someone or something navigating a story world until its resolution, right? Someone or something wants to do or wants to have, wants to accomplish, has a need that he needs met or she needs met or they need met, whatever. But that person is going through the story world you create. You create until you get to the resolution. Okay. Now we know because I'm layering. All right. The easy approach is about simplicity because I want you guys to remember this statement. Complexity is built on simplicity. Right? When you went to school, did you start off with, algebraic equations and formulas and theories and stuff? No, you started off with ABC 1, 2, 3. What's 1 plus 1? What's ABC? What's CAT put together, right? And then when you had that foundation of those things, you started getting bigger numbers, right? Bigger words. Then you started adding letters to math, and that's where I'm lost, right? How many of you guys are good at that kind of stuff? Algebra and trigonometry and all that kind of stuff. Avaskar,
I've,
oh, dude, you rock. That
I've been
rocks,
to National Mathematics Olympiad.
bro. That's crazy. See, I don't know nothing about that. I know the basics, but I know that you had to learn from the beginning of your ABCs and your 1, 2, 3s and build on that. But that's where he started. So what I give to people is that solid foundation that they can build on. Then you can decide whatever direction you want to go in. My job is to get you going. It's not to bog you down and say, let's spend a whole session talking about this one thing. Where have you gotten? My thing is, if you're going to come learn from piano, you're going to play your first song the first time we ever get together. If you come to learn drums from me, you're going to play the drum set the very first time that you sit at that drum set. It's not going to be session after session. There is not one person that I've ever encountered that was not playing the drums after their first session with me. Because I get them going and then I'll say, this is what we need to work on, but I can't play the drums. How are you going to convince me you can't do something I'm watching you do right now? I hope you guys are getting something. If anything, just motivation. I hope you guys are getting something to this. How can I convince you? So if I get you writing your story, doesn't have to be a great story at this point. The easy approach is about layers. It's about layers, taking big leaps. Okay. So remember this. The reason why I encourage people to start from the end, because one, I believe the greatest storyteller ever, God himself, he said, I established the end from the beginning, meaning from the start. He says, I'm establishing my goal and my destination. So that's what I encourage in my storytelling. What's going to happen? Does he win? Does he lose? Do they live? Do they die? They get the girl? Do they lose the boy? What happens? Does the world end or does the world save? You establish your end, and guess what? Now you know you have a beginning to go back to and an end to reach. Right? That's layer. That's the first layer. That's first step. You establish that end, and then I say, okay, cool. Let's go back to the beginning. How are we going to open this thing? And then we start plotting our way through the story, okay? In a very, very loose way that will not bog you down. So whatever you're working on, whether it's a short film or a feature film, very loosely start going step by step, as I'm going to kind of show you with the way that I outlined. But the reality is, I want you guys to establish these things, start doing these things, so you won't convince yourself, oh, I can't write. Well, you're doing it right now. So let's move on from that. I don't play around, guys. I don't have a whole lot of time to mess around. You see what I mean? That's why I I will just tell you this. This is just a little side note, and you might want to write this down. Subtext is huge with your storytelling. Subtext. You have to master that. Now that you know, listen, now that you know that that's an area that you have to master. What is subtext? Subtext is the hidden meaning behind a word or an action. It's the underlying meaning behind a word or an action. It's what somebody really means when they can't really say what they really thinking or they don't want to say.
Yeah, that's
We
what
do it all the
action
time.
lines induce, right?
What's that?
It's what action lines and dialogues don't tell.
Hey, there you go. That's a great way to put it.
I've
It's
read
not
it
what you're
from the
saying
last class.
directly.
I have my notes from the last class.
Right. Oh, yeah, that's cool. I'm like, oh, and listen to me. I'm like, oh, that's a great way to put it. He said, these are my notes from the last class.
I've been to this class, right?
Oh, that is so awesome.
I wanna ask